Hey everyone, it's been a while. Hope you're doing well. I'm just getting started with this channel, so I know it will be a long time before my following builds, but the videos will be here. I talked briefly about this story in the last video, but I'm going into the full story today. And I don't want my channel to be depressing, so I'll try to be as lighthearted as possible. But I'm not like Bruce Stu, where my life is filled with hilarious stories. Shout out to him, by the way. His content is gold. I started working at this Alabama thrift store of 3 locations at the time in August of 2014. I think they have 2 more now. As I mentioned once before, I'm doing these stories in cartoon AI form for the time being because I have some corruption moving forward I will be exposing in workplaces. Now I can say a little more without getting into trouble because I actually told one of the people that used to work in corporate what happened when I saw him at Brook Hills, the church I was going to at the time. And it just so happens he quit 2 months before I did because he saw some shady things this place was doing, apparently. He didn't say what it was, but my sister did. It sucks he quit before I was let go because he said if he had known what was going on my end, he would have helped me. If you want to know the name, you'll have to hunt for it near the end of my previous video. I can't say it in this one simply because of the regional manager and the fact that my boss at the time got promoted. When I first started, it felt like a place I belonged. It was easy, fun, and since my sister and I were close then, it was a plus that she was there. In fact, she's the one who helped me get the job, and I helped her move out of my parents' house and rent a place with me and the landlord's son, so remember that for later. Let me begin by introducing the employees. There was the front staff who mainly did cashiering and stocking. Their names were Lee, Jessica, Bianca, and then my youngest sister. And in the back warehouse, we had me, Josh, Katie, Dylan, Higgins, Andrew, Gage, and Lauren. Gage would actually work between this store and the Vestavia Hills store. Inside the warehouse, we all had different departments we sorted and priced items in. And we had 2 people who volunteer 3 days out of the week, and they will be important later as well. And finally, we had our boss, Summer. Everyone was cool and I had fun at first. I even have footage of some of the good times we all had.
Okay, I got to stop. Oh, you want to record? Go! Oh, slow.
2 more cookies will be 3 cookies.
2 more cookies will be 5.
There might be some cookies on them.
Get hard to breathe.
That last clip was Josh's last night before leaving, and Dylan followed soon after. That was also the last night I ever had fun before all hell broke loose. During my time there, I got 3 raises and made sure everything in the back stayed clean, orderly, and made sure we were ahead. Everyone else did too. Now let's go back to September, a month after I started. I got the hang of everything in just a week and got to know everyone a little. The last week of August, literally the week after I started, Lauren would pass me and stare at me sometimes. I don't remember exactly what he said one day or how it led up to it, but he asked, "Would you go out with me?" And I said, "Yeah," and that was pretty much it. I genuinely do not remember the first date at all. I only remember him and my family going out to eat with me on my birthday and then seeing 2 movies in September. I think for the most part, he hung out at mine and my sister's place of rent and we just watched movies and had supper and played board games. Yeah, it was me, him, my sister, and her boyfriend at the time. Now, at one point, my sister accused me of acting like I was under a spell. So let me clear that up. I was only happy that someone attractive actually liked me and I still couldn't believe it. I still had self-esteem issues at the time, especially due to the whole Quinn thing. Which is funny she said that considering what is to follow. Now, this was back when movies stayed in theaters for a long while, so we went to see Abduction. Anyone remember that movie? It was pretty okay. Some of these date markers are important. This movie came out on the 23rd, and we went sometime around the 2nd week of October to see it. We were the only ones there. So before the commercials even started, before the trailers, he had been texting for like 10 minutes, and I thought he was talking to his brother. But lo and behold, he said,
I have a confession to make.
Oh, what is it?
Now, when 2 people are sitting in a movie theater alone and someone says that, what do you think they're going to say?
I've been talking to someone.
Certainly not that.
Okay, to who?
My best friend. We've known each other since we were kids. We've been talking for about a month now. I'm sorry, I still want to hang out and be friends, though.
Oh, the classic best friend thing, of course. Ain't no such thing. Someone always likes somebody. What I wanted to do was...
Do you mean to tell me you brought me all the way over here just to dump me? Why the heck did you ask me out then?
And this ran through my head multiple times. But instead, I sat there. I sat there and contemplated whether it was worth punching him and getting fired. But I needed this job.
Okay, sure, that's fine.
Oh, thank you. You're such a good friend.
Yeah, so I was absolutely furious. I was so furious I couldn't find words to speak. It felt like my stomach dropped to the floor and I got dizzy for a second. I wanted to walk out of the theater, but I didn't have anywhere to go. We had separate cars by then, but we had work the next day, and like I said, I needed this job. He proceeded to text the girl throughout the entire movie. Some of you probably would have done what I was thinking about doing anyway, I'm sure. Problem with me was I literally couldn't afford to do that. I was going to keep this whole thing a secret from everyone, though. Even he agreed not to tell anyone we were seeing each other at that time.
Are you okay? I'm sorry, I should have told you from the beginning, but I've been confused. She asked me out last week and I told her I was seeing you. She told me it would be better to tell you we had been talking more.
So you liked her already, you just didn't think she liked you back until now. Fair enough, I get it. It's fine.
Oh my gosh, you are such a good friend.
No, I was a good doormat.
Will you forgive me though?
Yeah, just please don't do that to people. If you're not sure, then you don't need to date at all until you're actually ready.
So let's pause here a minute. If someone does this, run the other way and never look back. Now, you know those movies where they glamorize situations like this and no one called it out for years? And growing up, we were taught to give people multiple chances, right? My mom gave her abuser multiple chances, and my sisters and I were taught that this was okay as long as you were a Christian and used the excuse that we all mess up. Or rather, more times than not, it was mainly women that were taught this and allow people to get away with crap like that. I was angry because we were adults and I was still very naive to the fact that a lot of adults don't grow up. Mainly, I thought if I couldn't keep someone, there was something wrong with me. And of course, I grew up with two parents where no matter what I did, nothing was good enough. There wasn't really any excuse because we had talked about a good many important topics before we dated. So there I was on my way home when I bust into tears and had to pull over. I was there no more than 5 minutes when I see my sister and her boyfriend pull over behind me and my sister gets into my car. I never in a million years thought that was going to happen. I never wanted her to see me like that. She never had, but now there we were. I had wanted to get it together before I got home to tell her what happened, but that didn't work out.
Now I want to punch him in the neck.
Interesting word choice, but I appreciated the fighting spirit.
I'll talk to him tomorrow. Don't worry about a thing.
We were close, but we never hugged or cried in front of each other, so that was a little embarrassing for me, but I was glad she talked to him. So the next day, I came to work as if nothing happened, and my sister actually did talk to Lauren. I have no idea what she said to him, but it was enough to make him feel like crap when the rest of us saw him. And at the same time, I completely ignored him unless we had work stuff to discuss. Also, don't get me wrong on this. I'm a Christian myself, but I'm going to call out lies we've been told growing up, such as the whole male-centered thing, which sadly is a product of what happens in this story. And I'm not going to bash guys all the time either. They were lied to as well about things growing up. We all know this, especially in the church. I also will have a whole story from after this job about that. So Lauren gets all butthurt about me not going out of my way to talk to him and blowing him off. So I think it was about 3 or 4 days later that everyone started ignoring him. And I have no idea how the entire staff found out unless he or my sister spread the word. I went about the next 2 weeks like business as usual, and it looked like no one had suspected anything. Once when I was on break, he apologized again, and I said, it's fine, don't worry about it. We actually had a very civil discussion about his messed up past, even though he didn't really have a bad childhood. His biological dad, I think he said, was into drugs when Lauren was a kid, so I'm not sure what the details were there. In a nutshell, he was in and out of jail since he was 17 for theft, defacing property, dealing, and taking drugs, and I could have sworn he also said arson. He told me he was divorced from his first wife and they had a 6-year-old son at the time, so I felt bad the kid had to be mixed up in all that. He told me how crazy she was, but now I believe that was probably a lie. I understand people struggle with things like that and really have trouble breaking out of certain things. I've seen it in the jail I worked at, which will absolutely be a whole other story time for sure. Everything was cool for 2.5 weeks, and guess what? The girl he dumped me for dumped him. Now, Josh was very smart and knew something was going on when people were ignoring Lauren, and I told him why. Then I said, but that girl just dumped him, and we laughed. Sunday, he asked if I wanted to go to church with him and that he swore he was working on himself. And I thought, well, no harm in going. That's when I was first introduced to Church of the Highlands. Whole story there later, too. All his friends were nice and seemed to really like me, and there was one lady that pulled him aside for a minute when I went to get coffee. If I still recall correctly, the lady whispered as I walked off, "She's so pretty, why in the world would you?" And I didn't hear the rest. I got the feeling he told his friends everything that goes on in his life. We went in the afternoon, I think 3 other times, and hung out as friends, and I genuinely believed he was trying to change. He had said he was sorry he was so hasty and trying to date when he wasn't ready, and said we should have done it like this first. I agreed. We also resumed going to eat after church and visiting the house and playing games again, and I thought, well, if we're doing all this, we might as well be dating. The second Sunday in October, I believe it was, we went to church and we were going to go to the house afterwards. My sister was going to make something for us and her boyfriend joined us as well. So when we took our seats, he just out of the blue says,
I don't suppose you'd give me another chance?
"Bleh." Ew, looking back, that was so cringe.
Well, okay, as long as you're sure.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
You couldn't have waited, though, to ask that after church? Anyway, so fast forward to the house. As we eat, my sister and Lauren are doing most of the talking to each other, even afterwards. So right there in front of everyone, she asked if we were dating, and he straight up told her that was none of her business, and he was right. I kid you not, her boyfriend gave her this "are you serious" look. Before we played a game, I think my sister's boyfriend asked to talk with her outside. No idea what they said, but I was told what he asked her later. And I found it extremely interesting since considering someone else asked the same question later as well. So the next 3 weeks went by, and it was around the 1st of November. After work, we ate at Olive Garden and went to his apartment to watch a movie. All was well there, too. We watched 2 movies, which turned out to be stupid, but I didn't say anything. And then the next day I came back and we had breakfast before going to work. Note this for later, I used the restroom while I was there and noticed there was a pink bath towel hanging up on the shower curtain. Now, he said we could get coffee from Starbucks and then he was going to go to the gym. Out of the blue, however, he started getting this random attitude. I asked him which Starbucks and he hostilely said he was going to go to the gym first.
Oh, I thought we were getting coffee first.
No, I'm going to the gym. I haven't been all week. I told you.
No, you didn't tell me. 5 minutes ago, you said you were doing that afterwards, both last night and today. I don't care if you change your mind, but you need to tell me instead of acting like I should have read your mind. And what on earth is making you irritated?
No, you're right. I've had a lot on my mind. Here, take my debit card and get some gas and coffee, and I'll meet you there.
Oh, okay, thanks. I don't trust my GPS. May I follow you out to 280?
He responded as he closed the door with a hushed, hostile sentence, but I have no idea what he said. All I know is this dude started acting bipolar that day. Now, remember those GPSs then weren't as good then as they are now. Not to mention mine kept going out, and he knew this. And a lot of times it had the tendency to take me to a place other than where I was actually trying to get to. He shot me a quick message saying I could follow him out to the main highway from Homewood where he lived to the interstate. So we get onto the interstate and he started to speed up and I'm trying to keep up with him. And once I catch up to him, he slows down, then does it again. So here I am at Starbucks for 2 hours and he never showed up. He said he was going to get a shower and head to work, but he stopped by and get coffee and his card. I said, I'm going to head to work early now. I'll give it to you then. So later I get to work, thank him for letting me use his card, and he apologized for getting irritated. Something about how his ex-wife was giving him a hard time about having custody of his son. I got that, but like, don't take it out on me. Oh, and before I forget, that past Sunday we had gone to church and he was showing me all these texts of his ex begging for him to take her back. I asked him 3 times if he was going to block her, and he didn't really give an answer, something like she'll get over it. But I was like, well, if she's harassing you like you say, then you need to block her. Now, later that day, we talked as we worked and made plans to go see a movie and eat and go to the skating rink in 3 days. I think it was going to be on a Wednesday. So that Wednesday morning arrived and we were supposed to get coffee before work. And I remember that because he used to go to small groups on Wednesdays, but he wasn't going to go that night. And guess what? He didn't show up that morning either and instead sends me this.
Cara, I'm sorry, but I just don't think I can date right now. And I can't be spending extra money at the moment, and I need to focus on my son until I can get custody. I still need to work on my relationship with God, but I hope we can still be friends.
And I said, okay, I understand. And he profusely thanks me, and I ended with, although if this was a problem, there wasn't any point in asking me out again. Don't remember what else was said word for word, but I knew he was lying, and he didn't like that I knew that. I blocked him at the end of the day. I told my sister what happened, which I guess I shouldn't have because this begins the next 6 months of hell. I'm only using that word to describe. People weren't talking to him again. They wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt too, but somehow they found out what happened. So either he or my sister said something because my sister was the only one who knew what was going on. I didn't think it'd make sense to tell a bunch of people an embarrassing story that literally has nothing to do with them. And you'd think someone who pulled a stunt like that twice wouldn't dare say a word to begin with. As the next 2 weeks went by, I ignored him and didn't say a word to him unless it was about work. I straight up minded my own business, and in spite of that, I noticed people started blowing me off too. Andrew and Josh were always nice though, and the people up front acted like they didn't know anything. I think they just want to keep their distance for a while because later everything was back to normal. I even paid Lauren back for the coffee, leaving the money on his table near receiving. Lauren had everyone thinking he was a perfect little angel, so I know he didn't say anything. He definitely wouldn't want what happened to get out. He also apparently hated that I paid him back. When he noticed the entire back was ignoring him, he got all butthurt again and was desperate for validation. I saw him several times go up to each staff member and whisper something, and they would turn away like they didn't want to talk to him. Well, all of them except Katie. She stayed away from him while we were dating, but as soon as she found out it was over, she started talking to him and following him around every chance that she could get, to the point it started to annoy him. One night when I was at home, I looked up the girl he cheated on me with on Facebook, along with their entire friend group. It wasn't to stalk. I was genuinely getting interested in psychology, so I wanted to get a better picture of what type of people he was around. And I found out that most of the people he was friends with, including the girl, were former criminals and drug addicts as well. They hid nothing. Most of them came from the Foundry, which, as some of you know, too many people come out of there worse than when they go in. And I was friends later with someone who told me what all goes on in that facility. I also may have wanted to see if I could try to be like her in order to fit in with them, but after finding that out, I was like, nah, I'm good. I also found out that the girl, while playing those games with Lauren, was cheating on her own fiance. And I told my sister that part. After spending like an hour and a half on there, I closed it out and let that be the end of it. And these people, including some at the store, were masking themselves as Christians, but were out here hooking up with as many people as they could get and still committing crimes. I asked him later if he owned a pink towel, and he said he didn't. So I knew what was going on there. Now, you saw the footage from the last days of the good times I had there, because February through May sucked. There were two new hires named Lynn and Joe, and they were a good 11 and 20 years older than us all. And they were very childish people. I thought they were cool at first, but that February I noticed Lynn and Lauren following each other around and talking and hanging out after work. I was told they were going to a rehab small group. I saw them leave work at the same time, and one day I saw them arguing in a whisper around the back of receiving. And right then I knew by the end of the month they were seeing each other. That whole "I'm not ready to date" crap was, you didn't hook up with me, so I'm finding someone who will. One day while his phone was charging in the back, I looked through his messages and saw he was texting 3 women at the same time. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I dodged a bullet. 2 of those women had whole families. I'm talking a husband and 3 kids and a dog and a nice house in the suburbs. And one day he decided to reveal to us all that he heard voices. I said, how long has that been going on? And he said 3 years. And he didn't take anything for it that he knew to just ignore it. One of the girls he occasionally talked to was someone cool I would meet later that year. Everyone was disgusted with him for getting with Lynn, and apparently my sister tried talking to him about that. But at the end of the month, he dumped her when she refused to hook up with him. He started suddenly trying to give me gifts in front of everyone, and I refused them. One day out of the blue, Lynn texted me this nasty message, and I don't remember everything word for word. But it was along the lines of, I know you've been talking about me. Every time I come to the back, y'all get quiet. And something like, Lauren and I have been dating, so get over it. Which I found funny because I never once said that to anyone, nor was it actually confirmed until she said that. She also said, you smile in my face and then talk behind my back and call me a bitch. If you don't want to hear my name, I don't care. Let it taste like shit in your mouth. I was shocked and showed that to Lauren. I replied with, well, this is the first time I'm hearing about this. I don't call people bad words, and don't worry, you and that other girl can have him. He said he'd talked to her and that he knew no one had been talking about her. I told him that was disgusting, and yes, please tell her to leave me alone. He came to the back the next day, and I told her no one's been talking about her, and surprisingly, she apologized. And I told her what had been going on with me, and she said she was embarrassed she ever decided to get mixed up in all that. So one day, Lauren comes to me and whines.
Why won't you talk to me, Kara? I'm trying to be your friend and you just ignore me like I'm not there, aside from work stuff.
Because I don't have anything to say to you. You know we're not friends after that stunt you pulled twice. You know exactly what you did.
And I said I was sorry. You said you forgave me. I'm not dating anyone. If you forgive someone, you're supposed to let it go. You stalked my Facebook, then you blocked me. Lynn's mad at me. Your sister is mad at me. The whole staff won't talk to me. Just please let this go. You called me a liar and a jackass, and I never said a word about you.
You can forgive someone and also not trust them again. I didn't call you anything of the sort, but yeah, you are a liar, and I'm not bothering you, so let me get back to work.
Your sister's been talking about you. She thinks you don't care.
Don't care about what? That doesn't make any sense.
He never once told me what that meant. We had another conversation later, and I told him not to worry that I didn't like him anymore. All I know is my sister's attitude kept getting worse for no reason. I didn't know what on earth he'd been telling her. And instead of letting me get back to work, he spent 15 extra minutes talking about how he found God, which had zero to do with what we were talking about. This dude was a very manipulative individual, and one of the things I noticed he liked to do was cause strife between people to get the focus off of him. And I was pretty sure he was telling her a bunch of stuff I never did or said. To this day, I have no clue what he told her. He also liked to throw Bible verses in your face to deflect from things he didn't want to talk about. Wow, where have I experienced that before? So about the 2 crude words, no one had ever talked about Lynn, but she might have heard Higgins call Katie the B word because we all were annoyed with her attitude that day. And no one called Lauren the J word. I was talking to Dylan one day about how my mom would abbreviate it to JA, and he thought that was funny. So Lynn and Lauren were very paranoid. Later, we started getting volunteers from the Foundry Rehab Center, and most of them got fired for stealing. I also noticed Lauren stealing donations from receiving and shoving whatever he could in his backpack. One day, Summer told us we were out of shoes and to replace them with accessories for the time being. Sales had been great because I made sure the back was clear, and I had been able to encourage everyone to work faster. and we were getting lots of awesome donations, and I contributed as well. The back was piled high, and I told them we can absolutely clear everything out in a week and can make a game out of it. So we did and got our first raise and then a second. It was so bad back there, my boss didn't think it was possible, and everyone had low motivation. But I told them once this warehouse is spotless, I promised their energy would go up. And it did. This wasn't long after the third raise. So, yeah, Summer said to expect a call from the front about people asking about shoes. Bianca called the back, and I picked up and said cheerfully,
Hey, there's no more shoes back here because we sold them all, but Summer told us we can put accessories in their place. So I can have those put on a cart in just 10 minutes, and I'll roll them right on up to you. Okay, thanks.
Literally all that took place in that moment. So a whole week went by, and she just kept talking to me in a tone like she was disappointed about something. And I ignored it. So, March, a couple days after that last clip I showed you earlier, a lot took place. I became so depressed that I thought I needed medication. I stopped eating, I slept through my off days, and once I fell asleep on the floor and didn't get up. When I opened my eyes, I physically felt like I was unable to get up, and my sister's cat actually came to check on me. She rubbed up on me, then nudged my hand several times, and then gave it a quick soft bite, and I sat up. That kind of freaked me out. A couple days later, we finally got a ton of shoes in, and I needed to sort them, and Dylan and Lauren would take them and other items and put them into sorting bins. Lauren specifically says,
Just toss all the shoes over to me if you find any.
and that's exactly what I did. I sat on the concrete near the receiving door and sorted through donation bags and tossed shoes I found to him. Well, the bad ones, specifically. So I noticed he kept purposely putting himself in the path of where I was actively tossing them out the door and pretending to dodge them. It was strange, but I should have known why. He was smiling and dancing around them, so I thought he was being goofy, trying to make Dylan laugh. But Dylan wasn't really paying attention. So the two of them disappeared for a few minutes, and I was nearly finished what I was doing, and Lauren comes up to me and says,
Hey, Summer wants to see you in her office.
the clip does the scene no justice whatsoever. His smile was way bigger than that, and he looked like a goofy little punk. Summer asked if I was okay and what the problem between me and Lauren was. I told her I wasn't having any problems that I was aware of as far as communication and professionalism. I told her we dated for 3 months and what had happened. And she said she knew we had been dating. So only one of two people told her that. I'm sure it was him because he never keeps his mouth shut. He puts his business out there for everyone to see on social media and tells it to everyone he talks to in person. Why were you throwing shoes at him? I wasn't throwing anything at him. I was tossing shoes over to his bin like he said to do. Well, it looked kind of aggressive from what I saw on camera. He said he asked you to stop throwing stuff at him. Dylan heard him too. Dylan wasn't even paying attention, and I never heard Lauren say a word to me. It probably was a little aggressive since I was farther away from the door. I had to toss a little harder. Besides, the way he was smiling, I thought he was trying to mess with Dylan the way he was jumping around like that. But I sure wasn't doing what he said. You can even see that I did side or underhand tosses. I was a little in a hurry. Well, yeah, I did see that. Well, okay. And Katie said you scratched her yesterday. Are you serious? Well, if you look at the camera, you'll see that definitely didn't happen. It was subtle. She said it was when both of you were in receiving. There's no way, because we were standing far apart from each other the entire time. If I accidentally grazed her with anything at any point and it was a problem, she should have said something. You're right, she should have. And I didn't see where you could have done that. Also, if I had wanted to hit Lauren with anything, I wouldn't miss. We spoke a little more and she believed me and let me go. Thing is, the receiving area is very open, so the camera can see everything. I told my sister what happened that night, and she acted like she was on my side. I don't know exactly how smart Katie actually was, because if you had a brain, you would have known that lie was a huge fail. Anyone living in Alabama can go look for themselves if you know which place I'm talking about. But of course, after all that, my sister remained friends with Katie and Lauren. So again, that says a lot. And anytime they'd try to provoke me and I told her about it, she started taking their side more. I had started taking medication for depression and anxiety a while back, but it didn't last but 2 months because I started feeling all but one side effect, and my dad told me they were actually recalling it. I didn't bother trying anything else, so I just slept through my off days and had only 1 meal a day for the most part. Summer said I looked thinner than usual once. To make everything worse, Bianca decided one day she was going to hop in on lying about me. And she and I really never had anything to do with each other. I never even had a full conversation with her, but twice the entire time I was there. As we were closing, I had delivered a message to her and she just sighed and said okay in a disappointed tone. I asked, "Are you okay?" And roughly, here's what she said. Yeah, it's just you seem to have an issue with me. You've been sarcastic over the phone whenever I call. I don't have an issue with you at all. I've barely even spoken to anyone up here since I came to work. I wasn't trying to be sarcastic at all. What was there to be sarcastic about? I was feeling rather cheerful, to be honest.
In fact, you only called me once, so I know that's a lie. Well, I might be more understanding if you apologize. Apologize for what? I didn't do anything.
I don't remember what she said before she went upstairs to the second floor, but I let it go for 2 weeks, and during that time, she would walk off whenever she saw me coming or look away when she didn't have anywhere to go. One day during this period, Lauren saw me having a pleasant conversation with Higgins while we sorted through donations. He hated that I was getting along with everyone, well, aside from Bianca. So he goes running up to Summer's office and told her that I was standing around talking to everyone instead of working. I also had gone up to Katie and told her if I accidentally scratched her and that I was sorry if I had. And she said,
Oh, don't worry about it. I don't even remember how I got it. It's okay. I didn't think you did. I didn't think you did.
I know you didn't, you little brat. I became so negative I didn't see good in anyone anymore. I was sick to my stomach every time I entered that place and just withdrew from everyone. I even put my earbuds in to drown out Lauren's stupid thug rap music. Also, the entire time my sister and I sat at home trash talking him, she still talked to him and acted like his best friend the rest of the time. This is from December, the month after he cheated and broke up with me. This is him and her, so that told me a lot when she posted that Katie started glaring at me and trying to compete with everything I was doing at work all of a sudden. I thought we were cool, but I was wrong. That only lasted a week before she started her crap again. She'd run up to Summer's office every chance she could get, too. I can't go back and look, but Lauren and his circle of tramps would constantly post these woe is me, I'm so depressed quotes, and it was exhausting. He always wanted attention and whined, cried, and complained on Facebook. And apparently he had shown Summer everything we ever texted, but he deleted some of his and some of mine. So I showed her mine where she could see the real full story, and she acted like she was going to take my side. So apparently Lauren and Dylan got into a huge argument at some point that month. Apparently Lauren lashed out at Dylan when they were pricing wares. Dylan held his own, but he was absolutely shocked. She suspended him for a week, I believe, because I don't remember him being there, and I believe he used that week to get back with the girl he dumped me for. But I was so happy he wasn't there. The atmosphere felt like a huge weight had been lifted from all of us, even Katie. I wished he would have quit, but there was now a new manager position open for the warehouse since Higgins and Josh were going to leave, and Lauren wanted it. So, yeah, it just got better and better. I really started to despise him. I wasn't there, but Summer told me about it. Apparently, he lashed out at everyone. Summer asked me to run the back, and I sure did. Everyone thought I might get the promotion, especially after the 3 raises and what I did to keep everything running smoothly back there, and motivating everyone. Every last one of them knew good and well I never caused trouble. When I went to the back to get started, I showed up to hear some of Dylan's story. He said Lauren was literally screaming at him first, then he started in on Higgins and Josh. He also yelled at Joe for no reason, too. He said something hurtful to Katie that made her cry and withdraw from everyone that day. According to Higgins, he called her an annoying little B word. She definitely had issues, but we didn't think he had any right to say that to her. She was still just a kid. Even I felt kind of bad for her. By the time he came back, I'm pretty sure she was over her crush on him. And she started wanting to become the warehouse manager. Thing was, none of us thought either one of them were qualified. Josh stayed with her all day trying to comfort her and help her with work. I also found out the only reason I held my job as long as I did was because Josh had been defending me this entire time. And he was going to be leaving in May. I knew without him I was done for.
Don't worry, Kara, you have friends. I promise, you have friends.
Higgins told me once that if Katie ever became manager, he'd still quit. Dylan said if Katie or Lauren became manager that he'd quit, and that I deserved to have it. Or that might have been Josh who said I forgot, but one of them said it. My sister got promoted to front-end manager, and at the start of April, we had another new hire. Her name was Amy, and she was also a crazy person. More on that in a minute. So get this, after everything, at the end of the month, Lauren became manager, and Dylan did exactly what he said he'd do. He immediately started looking for another job. I did as well. I even asked Summer if I could have 3 days off from now on for health reasons. But she already knew the real reason I was asking. I didn't want to have to spend another day around Lauren, so I at least wanted to take off days he worked and work days he was off. Instead of just doing that, however, she said she was cutting my work days to only 3 instead. That way you won't have to see him at all except Mondays. Plus, we have Amy now, so we have more than enough people. You might want to try to find a second job, though. I also had my sister accuse me of posting about Lauren on Facebook, which I never did, and she started defending him whenever I told her anything he was doing. I remember what I posted and some I can't find, but I found these 3, so you can pause and read that. Just like quotes and things I had realized. I think the don't waste your words on people one is what got her bent out of shape, but absolutely nothing I was doing had anything to do with her. But she still decided to leave a mean comment that said something like, constantly posting about people isn't going to change them. It's life. So quit crying. Move on already. He's never going to like you, so get over it. Then she posted something about me saying something about whining on the internet. And since she wanted to do that, I responded with, nothing I'm doing has anything to do with you. When you have had more life experience, then you can come back and tell us all how to live. And what's funny is her own boyfriend liked what I told her and he said, for real. Well, I'll tell you one thing, she definitely didn't like that. She was so embarrassed, but honestly, she asked for it, and I could have said much worse. I couldn't find it, but when Lynn actually posted a bunch of subliminal message about how Lauren made her mad on Facebook, my sister's message to her was, we all need to vent sometimes. I understand. I felt dark and heavy and started driving recklessly and yelling and screaming at people who were jerks on the road. I listened to a lot of angry music and shut myself in my room after work. The next night after that message, I was getting out of the shower and I heard my sister come home. When I opened the door, I saw our laundry scattered all over the upstairs open hallway. At first, I thought the cat did it, but noticed the laundry basket was upright. I don't remember everything that was said. I figured out my sister did it because she made some snide comment, and I yelled, "What is wrong with you? I just cleaned the house." I couldn't step out because our roommate was also home and her door was closed. She started yelling and screaming at the top of her lungs. I don't remember what she said, but she had never done that before. But I remember telling her to shut up and quit acting like a psychopath. And right after I said that, I realized her boyfriend was with her because I heard him pleading with her to stop. When she tried to flip that on me, I also heard him say, "She's right, you are acting like a psychopath. Their business isn't yours," and asked why she was still texting Lauren. And she said, "I'll text who I want." And he said, "Then I'll text who I want then." Then they fought about the Facebook thing, and he said he hated Lauren. And apparently Lauren didn't like him either, so that was weird. Yeah, my sister avoided me the entire month after that. She was too much of a coward to talk with me face to face. I just kept focusing on looking for another job. I knew my days were numbered. When it was time for Josh's goodbye party, I came down on my off day only because it was him. Bianca wanted to act up and try to bulldoze her way past me, and I wouldn't let her push me. When she said, "Excuse me," in this exasperated, condescending tone, I said, "Now that wasn't hard, was it?" She said, "Don't do that," and I said, "I just did, and I'll do it again. You're not going to bully your way past me." And Summer nicely told us to shut up and figure out how to get along. And Bianca said, "It's a good thing Josh wasn't here. That would have ruined the whole thing." As if she was innocent. Other than that spat, we all had a good time. Lauren wasn't there, so everyone was happier. I actually have a picture from that day. The staff drew wash-off stuff on the back window of Josh's truck. The next afternoon, Bianca and I were called into Summer's office, and Bianca told her that weird thing about how I talked to her over the phone, and I told Summer what I told her. And of course, it was on a day I was sick and had a form of laryngitis, so I couldn't hardly talk, so that was fun. I said, "I'm sorry if it came off that way, but I'm not apologizing for something I didn't do. And do I need to start recording my conversation with people? Because I sure would if I needed to." They said no, and Bianca dropped that one. Then she wanted to add that I pushed past her in an aisle and elbowed her, which even Summer said she knew didn't happen. She documented this and told Bianca it would be best to apologize to me for starting this. After 30 seconds of silence, Bianca sarcastically said, "Fine, I'm sorry," and Summer let us go. I stayed a minute, and Summer told me she didn't believe a word of what Bianca said. She just wanted to hear what she wanted to say. I didn't ask, but I kept wondering, why didn't she get fired or suspended? Come to think of it, why didn't Lauren ever get fired? Well, a week later, Bianca apologized for real and said she was getting a divorce. I said, "I'm sorry that's happening to you. I didn't know that, but I also don't know what that has to do with me." She said, "It doesn't, and I don't remember what else, and we were cool for the rest of the time." But I never trusted her again. I started needing food and gas money, so I started pawning off silver and gold jewelry from the donations, which, let's be clear, Summer straight up looked me in the eyes one day and said we could just take them. I asked if I heard that right, and she said, "Yeah." So literally all of us did that, especially me, Dylan, and Andrew. And this is extremely important. Dylan heard her say it. It was mostly me and Andrew who were able to get by on doing that since we both had 3 days. So I was betrayed once again by no other than Lynn herself. Since I was told this was okay, I told her about it and thought she might want to make some extra money since she complained about being broke all the time with her 2 kids. One day I had 3 bags ready to go after work and I gave Lynn one, and I left one for Andrew and I took my bag and pawned it, as I always did. When my sister cooled off, I asked her if she wanted to do the same, and I think she did once. Also keep in mind that once after my first pawn, I told Summer all about how I made $30 off of it and she acted happy for me. Like we straight up had a whole conversation about it. So she knew good and well what was going on. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, all the times I was in her office, I was given written verbal warnings except for the time Bianca and I were in there, which was stupid. So apparently nothing Josh said could prevent that part. So the last verbal warning was about the pawning, because she decided to backtrack for some reason after Lynn came running to her. So before I continue the last 3 weeks of this nightmare, I want to add something the entire staff noticed. I haven't talked about Gage, the one who floated between the 2 stores. Like Andrew, he was the sweetest 19-year-old I ever met in my life. And like Josh, he was a genuine Christian. Apparently he knew how Lauren was, but minded his business. However, he noticed one day when we spoke, I felt stressed. I told him what happened and he understood. I told him I love this job, but people are harassing me left and right, and I didn't understand why, because us dating briefly had absolutely nothing to do with anyone else. He also said Summer told him what happened, and I said, wow, here I was trying to keep it from everyone, and they all just spread it around on their own. He laughed. He asked if he could pray for me, and I said, yeah, I need all the help I can get. I may not be here much longer if this keeps up. And he did. Lauren saw, but at least he couldn't say anything about that. But someone else went running to the office. I'm pretty sure Josh joined us too, so that was nice. They and Andrew were solid people. Well, Higgins did reveal to me once that Katie was the one telling Lauren a bunch of stuff I never said, so that made it all worse. You know, I always found it odd yet sweet that it was usually teenagers that wanted to help and comfort me more than adults, or even people in their early 20s. I said usually. Katie was a special exception. She had self-esteem issues too, so that just added to the problems. I did find it amusing that one day Summer came downstairs to the warehouse and told everyone she was sick of everyone running to the office telling on each other, and for us to work things out. So the entire time I worked there until April, we all noticed that Gage would be held up in Summer's office for literally 5 to 6 hours anytime he came over. He was supposed to be helping us, but more times than not, she had him up there just talking, not even about work. And get this, according to my sister later, the regional manager noticed she texted him all the time, so she asked if she likes him, and Summer told her she did. Didn't even hide that. Her manager put a stop to that, so that was good. She was 35 going on 36, so yeah, that's pretty bad. When Gage found out what her intentions really were, he stopped coming and never talked to her again. Most people with a brain know this isn't okay, but there are those out there that try to justify it. I also found out that she was best friends with her boss, so that explained a lot. That was when the rules started to change and Josh left as well. All of a sudden, she kept telling me I was pricing shoes wrong and I kept putting bad ones out, and I was beyond confused. And also, she denied saying we could take the jewelry. Lynn told me you said you've been pawning off the silver jewelry. She brought a bag up to me, and apparently you told Dylan and Andrew they could do the same.
Yeah, you and I had an entire conversation about it last week when I told you what I sold one of the bags for. Why is it a problem now? They were there when you said we could do that.
Well, no, I said you have to pay for them. Once the donations reach our property, it's ours, so you can't take them.
No one ever told me that. The only reason Lynn came up here is because she's still mad Lauren dumped her and is trying to talk to me again. If I had any idea, I would never have done that. You know I'm not a criminal and that I have done my job this entire time.
Wait, Lynn and Lauren were dating?
Yeah, I thought you knew.
I had no clue, and I'm so sick of hearing his name come up. That is unacceptable. I'm gonna have a serious talk with them both.
Yeah, that really pisses me off. I know she said it.
Yeah, she looked me in the eye and told me.
She said that corporate knew about everything at that point. So, hey, corporate, this is the full real story of what actually happened. See, everyone took advantage of how blind I was back then, but I've learned how people really are now. And don't worry, I'm not bashing your business, but at this particular location, something wasn't right over there at the time. You and everyone else need to know the truth. Because there was absolutely no excuse for any of this. One day I put a toy in the bin to be thrown out or taken to a homeless shelter because Summer told us if they were dirty or had any spots on them to put them there, and not in the regular pricing bin. I found one and did just that. Joe wanted to argue with me about it. I told him I'm only doing what she said. And Summer decided to go back on what she said and let him price it. Then she took me off of toys. One day when I was pricing accessories, I had 2 separate bags, one for silver and one for others. I was told to still separate them that way, and Lauren comes up to me and takes only the bag of silver and gold jewelry.
I'll take that.
And guess what he did? He snuck it into his backpack. Also, I found a bag like that hidden in a corner one other time, and I sorted that sucker out and sold it up front. Well, he didn't like that, so I assumed the stash in the corner was his. So that afternoon, I'm walking past Summer's office, and I see him in there whispering to her. All I heard him say was,
You know, I think we should take her off of shoes.
so Summer calls me in there and tells me she's permanently taking me off accessories, that scarves started to go missing, and took me off toys, literally took me off everything, and said I was only doing linens. I saw a scarf in Amy's purse later that day and figured she was the one stealing. Both her and Lauren were stealing, and Summer wasn't going to listen anymore. For a week and a half, I cleared the bin out in only an hour and stood around the rest of the time. Higgin thought my restriction was stupid. The volunteer in electronics said he didn't understand why they were letting Lauren get away with everything. I was angry now, and to make matters worse, Lauren came up to me twice, acting like he was so innocent.
You know, you brought this on yourself. I was really hoping you'd change your mind about me. It would have made things so much easier. Look, I'm the boss now, and you're gonna have to respect me.
No, this is your fault and you know it. All because you didn't like that I don't fall for your lie.
You just won't let it go. I'm going on vacation this week, and while I'm gone, I'm gonna have Katie watching everyone, and she's gonna report to me. I really hope you change your mind when I get back. It will be your last chance.
Never gonna happen.
We were so happy when he went on vacation. He really did have Katie watch everyone, though, especially me. But Gage managed one day to distract her. I wondered what on earth I did to deserve this entire nightmare. So May came, I think it was the 5th. I managed to finally do one thing. Katie turned and glares at me, and I said,
Stop giving me that look. I'm sick and tired of you.
only reason I got away with that one is because Higgins said, yeah, Katie, why are you always so mean? And Summer was off. So 1 o'clock rolled around, and Lauren came back from lunch and asked me an incredibly stupid question.
Hey, what color are these stickers?
What do you think they are?
And that's all it took. I said it a little more hushed than that with more confusion, but AI won't do what I wanted it to. So he struts off with a big smile on his face and calls the boss. And she came down in just 10 minutes. She goes around asking everyone in the warehouse what happened and no one saw. But unfortunately, I realized Katie of all people had. And the volunteer was beside me. He tried to defend me, but she decided not to listen and lied and said that everyone saw what happened. And they did not. I even heard both Dylan and Higgins say they didn't see or hear anything. It was Katie who she listened to and literally no one else. It was wild that she didn't listen to the dude standing right beside me. He saw the whole thing. He told her the same thing I told her, that Lauren asked me a stupid question when he didn't even need to talk to me. That's a pattern I noticed. Whenever he didn't have someone he was seeing every other week, he'd try talking to me again at work and get mad when I ignored him. So in spite of listening to the actual witness and me telling her Lauren was exaggerating on how I spoke, she fired me.
My boss wants you gone. Well, your boss needs to come tell me herself then. She doesn't even know the real story.
It took everything in me not to go off on both of them. Something told me not to because I may see Summer again.
You disrespected me.
No, I didn't.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, sure.
The next night, I ran into Lee and her friends at Starbucks and told them what happened, and I hung out with them the rest of the year until she moved away. So literally a month later, I find out from my sister that she had a hand in helping me get fired. Then they discovered that Amy was the one messing up shoe pricing and stealing accessories, not me. So they fired her. They discovered Lauren was also stealing after that and went and waves a gun at Joe at his house demanding drugs. And of course, no one wanted to admit they were wrong and have me back. I spent the next 3 months out of a job, but the new church I was going to at the time really helped me through it, though. I pet sat and cleaned houses and was paid well. That was after I had gone to Brook Hills for help and ran into Quinn for the last time. Dylan, Josh, and Andrew texted me and asked if I was okay, and I told them what happened. They called Lauren a lowlife and that they were sorry this happened to me. Dylan was gone, but Andrew was still there. And get this, my sister's boyfriend texted me as well. He asked if I was okay too and asked what was going on with her. And I straight up told him everything that happened. He said he believed me. And later she told me when things cooled down some that he asked her if she liked him. Which is funny because when I told this story to my husband, he said he thinks she liked him too. And when I told Summer what happened with the laundry incident a while back, which I forgot to mention, she even asked if my sister liked him. But my stupid self swore up and down she didn't. I had several of my sister's friends ask me if she was okay and what was going on with us, and I told them. I tried not to mention her, though. I mean, they could see who else she was friends with for themselves. I mean, my sister and Lauren texted each other after work every night after I got fired, so yeah, that was pretty disrespectful to her boyfriend and me. She also did something else at the end of the next month. I was playing a game on my computer in my room, and without warning, I hear my sister come into the house that afternoon. And coming up the stairs, I see her and freaking Summer. I never imagined she'd bring the person who fired me to our home. Her excuse was that she wanted her to see the cat. I knew that wasn't true because she could have done that when I was gone. I was going to have to leave in 3 hours anyway to go clean someone's house. I stayed cool, though. Her boyfriend cheated on her 2 years later, unfortunately, but I'm pretty sure he started looking elsewhere due to all this. He definitely shouldn't have done that. He should have just said, hey, I don't like the way you're treating me and your sister. I'm out. I don't know if he knew this, but when I was seeing someone else and my other sister got a boyfriend as well, she texted both of our boyfriends about bad things she thought we did in our past and told mine about when I got fired, which he already knew about. Like that was going to do something. They just asked us, why is your sister texting us about you? And we told her we weren't sure. She also thought it was acceptable to befriend our exes, but we couldn't be friends with hers. Whenever we broke up with someone, she and that person would sit there and talk about us. I didn't hang out with her after that, but we were civil. I started focusing on my new job and going to church. I actually met one of the small group hosts who knew Lauren. Her name was Courtney, and she was cool. It was November by then. I told her what happened and she gave me $50 to get groceries. Remember when that could cover 2 weeks' worth? From 2016 to 2019, Lauren was back on drugs and in and out of jail. In 2021, he married a girl who I guess was a part of the rehabilitation group, and they have 2 or 3 kids. He texted me one day when he got out of jail trying to apologize, but I never responded. Because if you were really sorry, you'd tell me in person. Josh married and moved to South Africa, where he was born. Dylan moved to Tennessee to pursue a music career. Summer got a couple promotions. Don't know about anyone else. I think Katie tried to get into the Air Force. My sister had gotten promoted to corporate, but found another job in 2018, which is also the time the store got remodeled. But yeah, I told that guy that quit corporate 2 months after I was gone this story, and he said he wished he had known that there was no excuse for what they did to me. He said there was a lot of stuff going on his end too, which is why he quit. So there you have it. If you want to know more about what might be going on, since he didn't say, you'll have to get creative. I sure can't go back. Oh yeah, later my sister got a job at a Chick-fil-A and she really got her karma. What happened to me happened to her there. And the dude who dumped her was a diagnosed narcissist. And she hasn't dated since. My next story time will probably be posted in the fall, and it's a whopper too. I do have to spend a fair amount to make the videos, so I gotta take another break for now. I know I'm not the only person with a story like this. Share your stories and opinions in the comments as well. See you this fall.